Girl, do you realize that there are people in the world right now that are living the exact life you want simply because they have the audacity, not because they have the genius, not because they have the talent, not because they have the skill, not because they have the luck that you think you need. They have the audacity that you need.
If no one has ever told you this, let me be the one to tell you. If you want to go far in life, you want to be successful, and it does not matter in what area you're looking for success. The number one success skill you should be picking up today is audacity. Yes, audacity. You need to be bold.
Audacity is the word for 2026, and I'm here for it. I've been seeing a few videos here and there on the topic of audacity and how having it is one of the key factors to getting where you want in life. But what does the word audacity even mean? Let's take a look at two definitions. According to Google, audacity is 1. The willingness to take bold risks, or 2, rude or disrespectful behavior. Now, to be clear, I am talking about the first definition, the willingness to take bold risks. Boldness is subjective. What may be bold for one person may not be bold for another. For you, being bold may mean speaking up in class or at work, but for another person, it may mean going up to an investor and asking them to take a chance on your startup. Either way, today we're going to be talking about different ways audacity can show up in our lives. The audacity to be the best version of yourself, to try new things, to be outspoken, to get out of your comfort zone, the audacity to take up space. But first, we must address how this relates to the word of the year in 2023, authenticity. Our first instinct would be to define authenticity as staying true to yourself. Simple, right? But this brings up a very important question. Which self? Our past self? Our present self? Our future self? In her TED Talk titled The Authenticity Paradox, Professor Herminia Ibarra of the London Business School brings up the question of whether being authentic condemns you to be as you've always been. So she suggests another definition, being sincere. Now bear with me, we're gonna nerd out for a little bit right here. The word sincere comes from the Latin phrase sincera, which means without wax. In ancient times, sculptures that had cracks were repaired by filling them with wax. Some merchants would advertise that these sculptures were perfect, while others would hang signs that said sincera, so that customers would know that their products were authentic and didn't have any concealed flaws. Now lastly, the professor says that authenticity can be defined as being true to your values. Now this is where the good old authenticity paradox comes into play. She says you get to a what got you here won't get you there moment, and you see yourself facing a trade-off between doing what it takes to be effective or being yourself. It's one or the other. We often define ourselves by the values or the skills that got us to where we are. But when those no longer work, what do? Well, according to Ibarra, we tend to become more conservative and cautious, choosing to remain true to who we are/were, which is ironically neither authentic nor effective in accomplishing our goals. But we stick to this because we feel morally justified in being authentic, and because changing and evolving would be uncomfortable and feel fake. So that leads us to the question, can authenticity and audacity coexist? And the answer is yes. Yes, they can. Audacity does not bow to perfectionism. It encourages action without perfection and doesn't care who sees, which is one of the most authentic things one can do, in my opinion. Now let's talk about the effects of stepping into audacity. Audacity gives you the boldness to grow in front of others. Now I'm not saying that all of our growth needs to be public. On the contrary, most of it should be private, as it is a very intimate thing. What I'm talking about, however, is not being afraid to be seen trying. Having the audacity to leave your old self behind and being seen trying can reveal who your real friends are. Who's going to encourage you to keep going, especially when you're on the right track? Who's going to mock you and try to discourage you? Or even those who will just watch silently from the sidelines. Audacity gives you the boldness to be a beginner and to do what you most likely will be embarrassed doing. For a long time, I did not like the idea of being a beginner, especially not in public. Why? Because for some reason, I equated being a beginner with looking incompetent, which is not the case. I know. Silly, right? Now I have to do some more reflecting on that, but something that comes to mind is that we don't really see many people building things today. I did not say that people aren't building things today. I just said that we don't necessarily see them doing it. We don't see a lot of the mistakes that people make in real time when they're just starting out, when they're a beginner, when they're in the field putting in the work. And that's okay to an extent. We don't need to see every single detail of somebody's journey. I do believe it's important to move in silence most of the time. But that's why it's important to remember that we cannot compare our beginning to someone else's middle. That isn't a fair standard. Now, on a more surface level note, it might sound crazy, but I'm at a point where I'm trying to push myself to do things that I know I will probably be embarrassed doing. For example, a little while ago, my campus had a carnival, and I was with my friend, and we decided to play this basketball game. You shoot the ball in the hoop as many times as you can, you get a stuffed animal. Fun. Mind you, I hadn't played basketball in years. I'm a retired legend. Just kidding. But I knew I would likely miss and was okay with that. Did I give it my all? Yes. Did I miss every single one? Also yes. Was I embarrassed? Maybe a tad? But I just laughed at myself and others laughed with me. Guess what? I survived. Yup. I lived to tell the tale. And trust me, you will too. This plays out in other contexts too, like having the audacity to be the least educated in a room, to ask questions that may sound silly, to learn from others and be in spaces that you otherwise would not have thought to enter. So why don't we live audaciously? What is stopping us from taking that bold action? I think part of the reason why we tend to shy away from living audaciously is due to the fear of success. Fear of success? Kayla, I've been dreaming of success all my life. Right. Dreaming, not doing. You're afraid of what you'll have to give up to get there. You're in this little bubble of comfortability, floating away from anything that might burst it, but free you. That's what our brain wants to protect. And that's why you need a mindset shift. Or as the Bible says, you need to be transformed by the renewing of your mind. There are a lot of nuggets in there, guys. Trust me on this one. You have to get to a point where you're done with being held back by who you were and are overwhelmed by the desire to step into who you were created to be, who you know you can be. So what's the point of this video? I want to dare you to be audacious. Reflect on your comfort zone. Discover where you could be if that zone was bigger, and brainstorm what steps you can take to move out of it. That's essentially what I'm doing with this channel. I have another channel where I talk about all things faith and lifestyle, but I really wanted to start putting my voice and my ideas out there as it relates to media and branding, strategy, culture, and all of that jazz. So if those are things that you're interested in, then definitely consider subscribing to join the community. Alright, that's it for this video. If there's anything that resonated with you, then be sure to give it a like and comment down below what stood out to you. Now go and do something audacious today. I mean it. I'll do the same.